your host of today. We will be talking about Investor Day. So if you have any question, just text on our chat box on Facebook and YouTube. So do follow us, Capital Dynamics, on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. So for those who are watching live, please stay on our page just in case you accidentally log out the live. You may search Capital Dynamics and press our logo and watch the live again. So, hi Teng Boo.
Hi everyone.
So today we will be talking about Investor Day. So can I know like what inspired you to hold this Investor Day event since 2010?
The origins of Investor Day is actually well, it's very simple. From my experience, because I've been investing for a long time and I interact with investors at the retail level, at the institutional level, at the corporate level. So I find that most of the time, the retail investors, the individual investors, don't make it in the stock market. They don't. I'm not talking about 1 year, 2 years. Eventually, you find that they don't find investing in the stock market to be successful. And in every bear market, whether it's 1985 or 1997 or 2008, in every bear market, the losers are typically the individual investors. So, which is pretty sad. It's unfair and it's sad. So, we thought that maybe a good way is to share my experience, my knowledge, which have been accumulated over 50 odd years, share with the ordinary investors, the individual investors, and from there we hope that the investors, particularly individual investors, can learn the mistakes that they have made, or they can find a better way of making sure that their investment will give them the necessary results. So I think the motivation is basically to share and help fellow Malaysians to be better investors, right? And I think with that, we thought that, well, what do we do? You can have regular talks and so on and so forth, but that doesn't really help. So we came up with this idea of Investor Day, which I think Malaysia should be proud because we are the first one in the whole Asia Pacific, whether Singapore, Hong Kong, Japan, we are the first one to conduct an Investor Day like that for retail investors, for individual investors.
Yeah. So can we know what is
Mm,
unique about
mm,
this 2022 Investor
mm.
Day?
Okay, every Investor Day is unique. In 2019 it was unique, in 2010 it was unique. So this year, what is going to make it different from the rest is because of the underlying situation facing Malaysia and the global community. By 19 November, Malaysians will be going to vote, and then the results will be known by 20th November. And our first day, which is 26th November, Saturday, we're going to be able to assess the results of the election. What is the government that we're going to have? And more importantly, for investors, what is the implication? What is the impact of the new government on the Malaysia's economy, on the stock market, and Malaysia's political future? Because the stock market is a very how would I say, fragile, sensitive type of animal. It's very subjected to the whims and fancies, the fears, the greed, and the worries of individual investors, right? So, if let's say our election results, I mean, who knows, what is going to come out of it, right? Is
Yeah.
producing a situation where there's no clear leadership, then what does it mean for the economy and the stock market? Or better, if it's able to produce a strong, capable, stable government, does it mean that the stock market and the economy is going to do very well? So 26 November allows us very quickly to be able to share with the participants what to do in a post-election environment. That's locally. And then globally, you have the interest rate, inflation rate in US, Europe, all rising to very high levels, will there be a recession in 2023? Will the New York stock market still tumble? And would that affect the local condition, Malaysian economy and the local stock market? In addition to that, to make life more interesting, you have geopolitical crisis that we have never seen for a long time. The Ukrainian crisis doesn't look like it's going to end soon. You have the economic technology war that America has launched against China, which is actually getting worse. And by then, the US midterm election, which is an important election for America, you have two elections in America, midterm and presidential. The presidential election, the next one is 2024, and this one is the midterm election where the senators, the House, the Congress people will be elected or re-elected, and it can produce a stalemate in US and therefore affect geopolitical relations between US Russia, US China. So by then, 26th November, we will know the results of Malaysia's election, US midterm, and for those of you who follow China carefully, closely, the CPC just concluded the very important 20th National Congress, right? And we are able to share with the participants three major political events and what the implications are, what the trends would be. In addition to that, you have climate change, you have severe weather pattern, right? If you're monitoring, even like up to now, Australia, in Eastern Australia, Melbourne, New South Wales, they are having floods they've never seen before. It's never happened before. The same thing in Malaysia. Our meteorological department has warned that we're going to have extreme weather soon or now, and the northeast monsoon is not supposed to have come so early. The northeast monsoon has reached much earlier than traditionally. So you have very unusual global situation, a very chaotic political situation in Malaysia, and the Investor Day will allow us to guide participants how to navigate in this very chaotic world, in a world where you can be losing a lot of money or you can actually seize a lot of opportunities and make good returns. So the Investor Day will be held over 2 days, 26th November, half day from 2 o'clock onwards. And then on 27th November, Sunday, is from 8:30 up to about 6 o'clock, where in addition to all those that I mentioned, where we give you our insights, our opinions on what is happening locally and globally, we will also invite the managing directors and CEOs of 10 listed companies, right? For example, Hibiscus Petroleum, which many investors are not familiar with, Capital A or AirAsia, Bowsted Holdings, Wellcall, and these senior managers are going to share and explain to the participants what their company is all about, what their prospects are about. And then you, as a participant, you can ask them questions. You are able to interact with them directly, firsthand, which is uncommon for retail investors. Retail individual investors don't have access to these senior managers in anywhere, not just Malaysia, whether it's US, Singapore, Hong Kong. So here, in this one single place, in our Investor Day on 27 November, you have access to top senior managers, and then learn more about the companies, and then whether these companies make sense to you and whether you should invest in them or sell their shares and so on. So in that 1.5 days, I think I cannot think of any other investment event that is so productive as the Investor Day of iCapital.biz Berhad.
Thank you, Teng Boo. So if you have any question, just tap onto our chat box on Facebook and YouTube. So in the meanwhile, we will be giving out tickets at the end of our live. So do comment and share our live. So Teng Boo, as we talk
Yeah.
about, you will be inviting all the speakers.
Mm-hmm.
So can you give a little bit of sneak peek? What will be the listed company?
Okay, we have a very good range, diverse. It's not just one sector. It's not like gloves or semicon and so on. For example, Capital Asia, right, is, as you may know, Asia as an airline. But do you know that Asia is undergoing a very uh, major, I wouldn't say major, it's once in a life kind of transformation where Asia becomes like a super app, like because they're going to combine the offline and online ecosystem. So Capital A is something that investors should get to know better. Yeah, you may not buy the shares immediately, but understand what is happening. Or OCK. Many people are not familiar with OCK or may not even heard of it, but they are the one of the key operators operating the telecommunication towers that you know use to for your smartphones. Except that OCK is interesting because they have a presence in Malaysia, but they also have presence in Vietnam, Indonesia, Myanmar, and Laos. So, is it a good investment? What is the business all about? And then we have Chronology Asia, where the CEO who's coming down all the way from Singapore. The CEO is a Singaporean. Is just coming down to present on the Investor Day on Sunday, 27 November. He's going to explain to you the huge potential that's out there in terms of unstructured data. You know, we talk about data being the new gold, right? Being the new important resource. So there's two types: structured and unstructured data. And Chronology Asia is in a position to be able to tap on this potential. It's supposed to be growing at a very fast rate across Asia Pacific, and how they will be able to tap into this market, which is uh, tremendous size, that consists of unstructured data. So come, because the range of business, the range of companies is interesting. It's all types.
So, what investment advice would
Mm,
you actually
mm,
suggest for
mm,
the youngsters?
mm,
So, do they come to the investor day
mm,
or
mm.
any suggestion to advocate them?
I've always believed that start young. I myself started young thanks to my parents. I was, uh, I wouldn't say forced, like, I was advised to start learning how to invest in the stock market. My father was self-employed, he has his own business, and he says, Teng Boo, if you really want to achieve financial success, you can do it through having your own business, right? Run your own successful business. But it's going to be a lot of work to be able to have a successful business. It takes a lot of years, a lot of effort, a lot of time. But that's another method where you pick the right shares, invest in the right company, and you can still achieve the same financial success without having to work so hard. Oh, that sounds sensible. So I was exposed to the stock market when I was in my SPM O levels, when I was about 16, 17 years old. So I guess that's relatively young for my time, because this was in 1970, 1971. So our advice is to the parents: start young. I mean, whether the child makes money or not, that's not important. The important thing is the education, the exposure, right? So if you yourself are already in that certain age, by the time you're 21 and so on, you got to think ahead. Because even though you're 21 now, 22 now, you got to imagine that you're not going to be young forever, right? 10 years, 20 years later, you're going to be middle age. And time flies, time passes by very fast. And before you know it, you find that, hey, my goodness, I got to finance my children's university education. I got to be able to buy a nice house for my wife, or so on and so forth. And you can't afford it. And you want to start at that point in time, it's probably too late. So the earlier you start, the biggest advantage is allows you to allow the investor, the young investor, to be able to tap and fully exploit the benefit of compound return. Compound return is something where people don't think about seriously, but it is the most important attraction, the most important feature that you can get by investing correctly in the stock market. Compound return means that, look, if you earn a 7% return compounded per year. That means you can double your money in about 10 years, right? And that is not a bad sum. So if you keep being able to double your money every 10 years by a certain age and you keep on regularly investing, by the time you are, let's say you're 21 now, by the time you're 50, 55, you have a very good amount for you to retire comfortably. But you have to start early because otherwise, compound return will not have enough space, enough time to generate the returns for you. So starting at an early age gives you all the advantages. And also, because if you are new to it, right, you make mistakes. So if you make mistakes when you're young, at least you got time to make up for it. But if you make mistakes at time when you're 40, 50, well, you don't have the luxury of more time to make up for your losses. So starting early doesn't matter whether you did it correct. In fact, it'll be better if you're new. It'll be better for you to make losses. Start small. Start small. Don't if you got 100,000 savings, 200,000 savings, or 50,000 savings. Don't go and put everything all at one shot. Just start with maybe 5, 10%. And the best part is you make losses, right? And then you realize that well, investing is not so simple. It's a great source of wealth creation. It's a great source to make sure that you can retire happily. It's a great source of income or wealth for you to be able to finance your children's education or help your elderly parents. But you got to do it correctly. You got to do it the right way.
So as for this
Mm,
investor day,
mm.
we is Capital Dynamics sponsoring,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Well, Capital Dynamics came up with the idea way back in 09, 2010. So then uh, because we are managing iCapital.biz Berhad, right? And because iCapital.biz Berhad was set up with the main aim, with the primary aim of allowing the ordinary individual investors to enjoy a a level of return that is attractive, that's able to beat inflation and on a compound basis. So that was the reason why we set up iCapital.biz Berhad. So we find that because there's only one listed closed-end fund on Bursa Malaysia, people are not familiar with it. So we need to have this educational type of event where we share with people what a closed-end fund is, what value investing is, what companies you should invest, what are the macro issues that you should grapple with, and then from there you be able to make better investment decision. So I think our philosophy is this: we don't want to just catch the fishes for you, right? But we also want to teach you how to catch a fish. So coming to Investor Day, especially if you do it regularly, because we hold this every year, except for the last 2 years where there was a pandemic, we hold it every. If you come listen to us every year, right? And the beautiful part is, it only costs a person 50 ringgit because we want to have a commitment fee. A lot of times people register and they don't turn up, and then a lot of resources are wasted. So we have this tiny amount to make sure that look, it's a gentle reminder, this commitment fee, that look, please come, please be responsible, right? And if you do that over a couple of years, you find that you really become much better investors. We have people, participants who come to us, who where we meet on the street or we meet in restaurants, and they can remember our investor day that we did 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and that's remarkable. And we have participants that will fly in from London, they are flying from Sydney just to attend our investor day, and they'll tell us that look, can you let me know when your investor day is? 6 months, 7 months ahead, because they want to book their tickets. So, like I said, if you haven't been before, come. You don't have to stay. If you don't like it, you don't have to stay the full 1.5 days. But if you find it useful, productive, right, and it really opens up your mind, then stay for the 1.5 days. Like I said, you don't try, you don't know.
John on Facebook is asking what topics will Teng Boo cover on that day. I assume is the
Mhm.
first day of our investor day.
Well, I guess both days, like, because on day one, which is 26 November, the topics I'll be dealing with will be quite wide ranging. The most important issue on 26th November is because it's 6 days after the election results are known. We will have a new government, right? Whatever the new government is it going to be a weak government or a strong government? Most importantly, as investor, what do I do? In a weak government, right? Will the Bursa Malaysia start to fall again? And will Malaysia have a bad recession in 2023? Right? And will the ringgit drop further? You have a strong, capable government after the election. Will the Bursa Malaysia rally? Will the ringgit strengthen? So our investor day will be the first major event in the country where individual investors would have a chance to sit down and think carefully what are the implications of the election results. That's number one. That's the most important. And then we're able to talk about in 2019 in our investor day, we talk about the zero interest rate monetary policy, where it's ultra loose, where it's zero interest rate. And then fast forward now, it's the opposite. Now you have very tight monetary policy. Not so much in Malaysia, but if you look at UK, you look at US, right? The interest rates keep going up. So when will this tight monetary policy end? And we will be able to share what our thoughts are. And I mean, if you look at UK is a good example to monitor closely because they are in a political shithouse. They are in a political turmoil. They have got five finance ministers that have been changed within a short period of time. They got six prime ministers within a number of years. And more importantly, their economy is in very bad shape. The Bank of England just yesterday, 2 days ago, just warned the British people the UK economy is going to face a recession that will last them 2 years. Now, that is serious. So, what will happen to Malaysia? Right, with a global situation that is uncertain, you have climate change, you have the Ukrainian crisis, you have the technology economic war launched by US against China, and then you have political results in Malaysia. So how would people navigate in this kind of world? So that's on day one and day two. Day two, we will end at the end of the day with a 1 hour summary of what the situation is all about. And then, of course, you have other topics. I myself will be talking about a few other topics about, of course, iCapital.biz Berhad, very important, how it can help, why it must be a core stock in anyone's portfolio. And then we have other investment education type topics on day two.
And we got another question from Wymoon. May I ask what kind of question we should at least asking the CEO if we have chances to meet them?
Okay, good, very good. I think the you yourself as an individual investor, you got to do your homework. You got to because if you don't do your homework, you cannot ask the right question. If you don't ask the right question, you cannot get the right answer, right? So we will have in our events page, you look at the contents. Our event page is events.icapital.biz. There, all the speakers are there, the contents of the company, what they are, quick summary. For example, Wellcore Holdings is making a rubber hose. So before you attend, before you come to the investor day, read up on what the company is, and then whatever you want to ask. Right? Don't ask about things like what is your profit, what is your earnings forecast for say December 2022. Those type of questions have no investment value. Those are the type of questions that the young, inexperienced sell side analysts would ask. It's meaningless. Ask more questions which are related to the business model. What does a rubber hose manufacturer? What is the business of a rubber hose manufacturer all about? That's more important, right? And then we have Bowsted, because Bowsted is a huge conglomerate. It's got five listed companies. Read about it. Why are they reinventing Bowsted? If they're reinventing Bowsted, what would happen to the entire business model of a conglomerate? So do your research, go to their website, read as much as you can, and ask questions relating to the fundamental business model. Don't ask about outlook future because they'll give you good outlook. You ask hibiscus, is an oil and gas producer. What is the future? What is the forecast for oil price? He say, oh, it's going to go up. Of course. I mean, you can't blame them. He's not going to tell you that oil price is going to plunge, because if it says that, then the earnings will be affected, and then you won't buy the shares. But ask, what is it like to be an independent oil and gas producer? What does that mean? So, basic questions relating to the company's business model.
Thank you, Teng Boo. We have another question from Alan.
Hmm.
Is the commitment fee refundable?
Oh, no, 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 no. It's to make you committed. Alan, the cost of conducting this investor day, or holding this investor day, which is jointly sponsored by Capital Dynamics and iCapital.biz. I don't know whether you all believe it or not, because it's held in KLCC, right? KLCC is an expensive place, good quality, expensive. To conduct the whole event costs us more than R1 million. The 50 ringgit, if let's say even if 2,000 people turn up, right? 2,000 multiply by 50 ringgit is only 100,000. It cannot even cover 10% of the total cost of investor day. But we just want the participants to be responsible, because you don't want to have a situation where 10,000 people register and then 1,000 people turn up. Then what do we do as organizer? Do we make sure that we have the logistics for 10,000 people or not? Because if you don't have enough places, then people are going to say, wow, such a lousy organizer, it's so crowded, and so on and so forth. So we want investors, participants that are responsible, that are serious. That's the reason why this commitment fee will not be refunded.
Another question from Aoyang Leong.
Mm.
Will we get free ticket for Investor Day on the coming November?
No, there are no free tickets unless you're chosen as the winner
Yeah.
in asking the best comment, asking the best question, right? That's one way of getting free tickets, right? The other way of getting a free ticket is look out for buses. We have advertised our investor day on buses in Penang, in Ipoh, in Klang Valley, in Johor Bahru, in Singapore. So if you spot the bus, take a photo and put it in our social media, Facebook, then you can get 1 or 2 free tickets. But I think more importantly is don't look at freebies now. If you are the type that looks for, I will elect the member of parliament, I will elect the political party because they give me free water, give me free toll express. Then you're going to get lousy political parties, lousy political leaders. So here, as I explained to you, that 50 ringgit, even if 2,000 people turn up, can only will not even be able to cover 10% of the total expenses.
We got another statement
Yeah.
from Boon. 50 ringgit is robbery. I mean the participants robbing ICAP.
Yes, I totally agree with Miss Boone or Mr. Boone. I'm not sure. Right? Yes, you are robbing. You're exploiting I capital. You're robbing I capital, because the 1 million plus expenses that I mentioned do not include the fees for the speakers and our time and so on and so forth. And this investor day, for those who are not familiar, right? I just keep saying, please come and attend, see it for yourself, because in the entire Asia Pacific, in the whole Asia, you cannot find an investment event that will come close to the quality and the quantity of talks. I guarantee you that. It's really unbelievable that we as Malaysians can produce an event that is world class.
Yeah. Thank you, Teng Boo. So I think that's all for our question.
Mhm.
And now we come to the giveaway section.
Okay.
So Teng Boo will be choosing our winner.
I guess the comment by Mr. Boon has to be the winner. I mean, it's clear, that if you're going to be a value investor, you must see value. What is the value of this 1.5 days? For in the market, right, in Malaysia, whether whatever else, you go to the market, you can get a lot of nonsensical talks that claim to be about value investing, that claim to teach you about analyzing, and they charge you 2,000, 5,000 ringgit. And what do you get at the end of it? Nothing. I'm not trying to criticize other people, but I'm just trying to put our event in the correct perspective. So if we were to fully charge this event, one person probably has to pay about 5,000, 10,000 ringgit per
Yeah.
person, and we're charging 50 ringgit for commitment, and we explain to you the reason why we have the commitment fee. Oh gosh, I think Mr. Boon's comment has to be the clear
Yeah.
winner.
The next one will be
uh, okay, the why Manchong? What sort of questions participants? That is also a very good question. So this will be my two picks for today.
okay. Thank you, Teng Boo, and congratulations to Moon and Mr. Boon. So once again, don't forget and click the like and share button. We will see you next Saturday and see you in Investor Day. So take care and enjoy your weekend today. Thanks,
All
Ting
right,
Boo.
bye bye.